The message from President Trump to the entire world is very clear. We are done being taken advantage of, and we have a president who looks out for the interests of American citizens. He doesn't care about what the Europeans scream at us. He cares about putting the interests of America's citizens first.
Are you expecting to run for president in 3.5 years?
Oh, Maria.
JD Vance sends the entire Democrat Party into a panic mode after announcing that he is going to be their problem to deal with in the 2028 presidential election. JD gave a masterclass in this brand new Fox interview and illustrates perfectly why the Republican Party is primed to do very well over the next 8 to 12 years. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, but where I'm going to start with this one is JD calling out Hakeem Jeffries, Walmart Obama, Timu Obama, we've got all the names for him, who might be his challenger in 4 years, for having no plan and just telling his supporters that they need to be in the street fighting Donald Trump's agenda. Watch.
The minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, already go out and tell his constituents, his friends, you have to fight like heck in the street to stop President Trump's agenda.
Yeah, these people remind me sometimes of the folks that were still fighting World War II in an isolated island like 30 years later. The American people have spoken. They are sick of the ridiculous performative politics. They want Americans, their leadership, Democrats and Republicans, to come together and actually get some things done. You don't have to agree with us on everything. Of course, if you're a Democrat, I'm sure you're going to vote a lot against what we're trying to do. But for Hakeem Jeffries to go out and say that you need to fight in the streets, it's dangerous, it's disgraceful rhetoric, and it's not at all what the American people ask. I think if you went to Hakeem Jeffries' district and took the people that voted against President Trump, not even the people who voted for him, the people who voted against President Trump, do you want a congressional Democratic leadership that fights in the streets or that makes your life better? Most people think the government exists to make their life better, not show up on TV, criticize the president, and not actually get anything done.
First off, what a smackdown by JD. Walmart Obama better be ready to contend with this man. But he's right, the Democrat Party is going to continue to hemorrhage support if their only message is orange man bad and we're going to try to fight his agenda. Sure, there's a certain group of Trump deranged Democrats who that's all they want to hear. But for the majority of the centrist Democrats, they want you guys to propose a better plan. Because if Donald Trump spends the next 4 years vastly improving the lives of the average American, and every step of the way all the Democrats do is try to spin everything he does as some grave danger, they're likely going to lose the 2028 election even worse than they lost this one. Their strategy in 2024 was to lie to everybody and say, no, your life's not harder, it's actually easier and more prosperous. And their strategy in 2028 is essentially going to be, no, your life's not prosperous and easier, it's actually worse. And JD is the perfect person to ride the momentum that Donald Trump is going to usher in. Listen to how succinctly and articulately he explains how they're going to cut government spending. And compare this to the answer Kamala Harris might have given. Watch.
Well, first of all, we've got Elon Musk and our friends at Doge who are working very hard to find a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse in government. Think about this math, Maria. In 2019, the U.S. government spent $4.4 trillion. In 2024, it spent $6.5 trillion. There is a lot of waste and a lot of fraud, and that additional $2.1 trillion of spending. We are committed to getting America back on a sustainable fiscal pathway. Part of that, we really think the president believes, is the tariff equation. Part of that is cutting spending significantly, especially the wasteful bureaucrats. And part of that is growing the economy, because we've had anemic growth under Joe Biden. If we grow the economy at a bigger rate under President Trump's leadership, and I believe that we will, that is how you solve the debt problem in the United States of America. We've got to do all three of them, and we're committed to doing it.
I mean, smash the like button if you are excited and optimistic for the future of the party. It's such a breath of fresh air after 4 years of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to actually have people at the highest elected position in our government who can give a clear answer. Not only does it highlight his skill of being knowledgeable and being able to clearly communicate what the plan is, but it shows that he actually respects us as intelligent citizens who can understand what the plan is, instead of Kamala Harris, who gives us word salads and platitudes like opportunity economy. Because people like her think that they're so smart and we're so dumb, so we can't even possibly comprehend what it is they're trying to do. Combine that level of pretentiousness with not even knowing what you're talking about in the first place, and that's how you get the epic disaster that is Kamala Harris and the Gavin Newsoms of the world. Again, I don't even understand why Democrats are freaking out that the Republicans actually want to make a stand and try to cut this ridiculous government spending. Forget China. The number one threat to the United States' longevity is this $2 trillion a year deficit and the $36 trillion of national debt that we have. If that doesn't get fixed, the United States just goes bankrupt and China can step into the position of world superpower unobstructed. I'm just convinced Democrats hate America. They hate what we stand for. They hate our values. They hate our history. They hate our prosperity. They hate our generosity. They love their cushy bureaucratic positions with zero accountability, their fabulous pensions, and their $6 trillion money laundering scheme. Now, this is when the reporter asks JD Vance directly, "Are you planning on running for president in 2028? And his response is perfect.
You're one of the youngest vice presidents that we've ever seen in the history of our country. Are you expecting to run for president in 3.5 years?
Oh, Maria, you're the first person who's asked me that. And I'd say that we've not thought a lot about politics in the last 6 months. We've thought about getting the American people's business done. We'll see what happens come 2028. But the way that I think about this is the best thing for my future is actually the best thing for the American people, which is that we do a really good job over the next 3.5 years. So we'll cross the political bridge when we come to it. I'm not thinking about running for president. I'm thinking about doing a good job for the American people. And I think the best way to do that is to make sure that President Trump is a success.
That, my friends, was a perfect political answer. It was just vague enough, just clear enough, and just understandable enough. He said, what I'm focused on right now is helping the American people win as much as possible to make their lives better, easier, and richer. And if I do that, well, I'm going to be in a great position to run in 2028. And he's right. That's all he needs to focus on, because if him and Trump don't succeed, then sure, he can run in 2028. But he's going to basically be in a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris kind of position, fighting an uphill battle. But if him and Trump do what they're supposed to do and keep doing what they have been doing these past 2 weeks, he will have strong winds at his back. Name one Democrat that can even come close to the quality of JD Vance. And if you combine that with a successful track record for him to campaign on, it will be a blowout like the Democrat Party has never seen. Now, he moves on to talk about the tariffs on Mexico and Canada, but as I'm recording this on Monday morning, Mexico has already capitulated and agreed to put 10,000 of their troops on the southern border. So only Canada is left standing, but I wouldn't be surprised by the time I actually edit and upload this video, Canada's capitulated as well too.
Are you expecting retaliation?
We'll see what happens, but I think, unfortunately, the retaliation has already happened. The problem with this whole idea that they're going to retaliate is they have already been taking advantage of America for decades. The retaliation is Donald Trump saying no more. We're not going to be taken advantage of anymore, and I think it's important the president is doing what he's doing. Now, look, it looks different ways and comes in different forms, whether you're talking about Canada or China or Mexico. We know that Mexico has allowed the facilitation of the illegal drug trade and illegal sex trafficking for years and has done nothing about it. If they want to be a better partner to us, the time starts now. We know the Chinese, of course, have stolen American manufacturing jobs for 30, 40 years, and also that they facilitated the trafficking of illegal fentanyl into Mexico, where the drug cartels then bring it into our country. We are sick of being taken advantage of. We still have, thank God, the biggest economy in the entire world, the best people and the best workers. But the message from President Trump to the entire world is very clear. We are done being taken advantage of, and we have a president who looks out for the interests of American citizens.
We cannot continue to enrich Mexico and Canada, both of which we have a trade deficit with, if neither one of them are going to do anything to curb the flow of illegal immigrants and fentanyl into our country. That should be common sense. Just because you're our geographical neighbors doesn't mean we have an obligation to be so nice and kind to you when your actions are directly leading to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Americans? You can't claim to be a partner and also have zero respect for our sovereignty or the well-being of our citizens, especially when so much of the wealth of your country is tied to Americans deciding to spend money with you for no other reason than to help you out because we share borders. Now, speaking of Canada, Donald Trump was on the tarmac and he responded to Justin Trudeau's retaliatory tariffs to the United States and said, if he wants to play that game, we can play that game. Watch.
Well, it could happen. If they do anything, we will. Canada's been very abusive of the United States for many years. They don't allow our banks. Did you know that? Canada does not allow banks to go in. If you think about it, that's pretty amazing. If we have a U.S. bank, they don't allow them to go in. Canada's been very tough on oil, on energy. They don't allow our farm products in, essentially. They don't allow a lot of things in, and we allow everything to come in. It's been a one-way street. We subsidize Canada by the tune of about $200 billion a year. And for what? What do we get out of it? We don't get anything out of it. I love the people of Canada. I disagree with the leadership of Canada. And something's going to happen there. But if they want to play the game, I don't mind. We can play the game all they want.
Justin Trudeau has created a very unfriendly business environment in Canada. Overregulation and absurd taxes makes it impossible for Canadian companies to truly compete in the global market. The United States literally props up Canadian companies out of the kindness of our heart. 80% of their exports are to the United States. So if we stop buying what they make, it will quite literally ruin their economy. You're talking about 30, 40, 50% unemployment kind of situation. And they're doing this to their own people because they don't want to bolster security at our mutual border. Think about that. A Business Journal report shows that 60% of Canadian companies are planning to make investments in their production inside of the United States to bypass these tariffs, which is what the whole point of these tariffs were. That's what we were saying. It's going to increase jobs in America, as well as domestic production in America. At this point, if Democrats still don't understand how Trump's tariffs are going to lower prices and increase jobs for Americans, they're just refusing to understand it. And another thing they're refusing to understand, I guess, is Elon Musk doing his job to make the government more efficient. Here's ghetto Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett saying that if you're black, you might not get your Social Security payments. I mean, just watch.
We still don't know really what Doge is in the first place. I mean, listen, think about it like this, Alex. You know, everyone hates Congress. That's just what it is, right? But as a sitting member of Congress, I mean, I had to give up my ability to practice law. I am prevented from being able to practice law to prevent potentially somebody dropping a load of cash on me and I do something that is nefarious as one of 435. And now we're talking about a guy who literally gets government contracts from the United States and has not had to divest, has not had to, I mean, it is really awful. And I know right now people are asking whether or not their IRS refund checks are going to be affected. We don't know if this is more DEI. Are you going to say if it's somebody that's a person of color, then for some reason, whatever they paid in to the federal government, they're not allowed to get it back? Like, we don't know, but there is no reason for any political appointee, if you can even call him that, to have this kind of access.
Again, if you still don't get what Doge is supposed to do, you're just refusing to understand it. They're freaking out Elon Musk got access to the US payment system because now he can see literally all of the fraud and waste that was occurring. You want him to look at the budget because you're able to hide what you're actually spending the money on in vague and ambiguous line items. He can see what it's actually being spent on and where it's going. And he has already uncovered tons of fraud and waste. The Democrats are continuing to double down on just being the party that lacks any common sense. And they're going to keep turning off more and more people by their fake manufactured outrage. No one believes or is convinced that Donald Trump is going to turn off Social Security payments to black people because apparently black people existing is somehow related to DEI. They're willingly being ignorant and choosing to miss the point. Somehow Biden wrecking the economy is democracy, but Trump fixing it is fascism. They're really mad that Elon Musk is attached to him because now you have the smartest man in the world, the best allocator of capital in the world, looking through all this crap that the federal government is doing. They're mad that this man can slash 80% of Twitter's staff and the service runs better. So what do you think he's going to do to the government? And again, when you take a step back and remove Donald Trump and Elon Musk from the picture, all they're doing is advocating for the United States to run at a perpetual deficit and eventually go bankrupt. These aren't serious people, and they're certainly not compelling politicians. If the Democrats keep doing what they're doing and the Republicans keep doing what they're doing, we are going to see probably one of the largest landslide victories for the Republican Party in 2028. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.